What do you think about we're just getting into it. What do you think about like the military personnel that like I don't know if they like campaign off of their tenure in the military,
As like a
but like
selling point.
yeah,
I was in the military, trust me. I think that's fine.
okay.
I mean, you served. Might as well get something out of it.
Yeah.
Anything you can, because like a lot of people, they don't know like the sacrifice it really is
Mhm.
in terms of your body, your mental health, not only in your family too, like your time. So anything you get out of it, anything you can milk from that experience is super beneficial.
Okay. But I guess as long as you're like honest about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess some people could overplay some aspects of their specific career.
Well, yeah, that can be annoying. Or if they lie or exaggerate details or
Right.
something. That's no one likes that.
Yeah.
There's people in the military or who tried to be in the military who will make that their personality, or like people who went to basic training
Mhm.
and then will like quit or like get kicked out in basic training, and then they'll post like pictures about how they're in the army or whatever and they're hard. It's so annoying. I mean, 'cause
I
stuff
bet,
like that
dude.
happens. Or like some dude gets kicked out for smoking weed, and then he still will post pictures or something. So that stuff happens.
Dang. Does it happen like a lot?
Yeah, I don't keep my head to it. I don't really know.
No. Okay. When were you in the army?
2017, right out of
Okay.
high school,
Dang, dude. Right out of high school.
till 2020.
Were you a little ROTC kid?
Yeah.
Oh, you what's it called? Guarding the halls or whatever.
No, we didn't guard the halls. We every Wednesday we had to wear a uniform,
Yeah.
and we had like drill and stuff. There were competitions. There's a bunch of extracurricular, I can't say that word,
That's all right.
activities.
We know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and those were fun. Like we did the Raider team.
Okay.
Yeah.
What, so did you know like from a early age that you wanted to go in the military?
No,
Mm.
actually, I was kind of like a troublemaker kid. I was just a bad,
Yeah.
like not a good. I wasn't really going anywhere. And then what happened was in middle school, in eighth grade, um, I didn't almost get kicked out, but I almost got sent to Bragg Street. You know
Oh,
what Bragg Street is, yeah.
dang, dude, you were terrible.
Yeah, so I was a class clown. Like I was always cutting up. I almost got kicked out of the bus every year because I had to take the bus to school.
Was it like fighting or were you just like bullying kids?
No, I wasn't bullying nobody. I was
What
just
was your
like
thing?
I was just a disruption all the time. Like I didn't follow the rules. I just did what I wanted.
Okay. Okay.
Pretty accurate to today as well. But um so eighth grade came around, um, and the way it worked at East Lee was when we were signing up for our high school classes, they had like a bunch of the students that were in those classes like come around and represent the high school, Lee Senior.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the one that stuck out to me was junior ROTC.
Why?
So these kids come in here in these uniforms, and they look cool or whatever. I mean,
Uh,
and everyone's making fun of them. Everyone's laughing at them like, "Oh, you think you're so cool 'cause
yeah,
you're in
of course,
uniform."
dude.
And the way they just owned it and they didn't care, and how they were just like, whatever, and they spoke their mind and they were just like totally whatever, and they answered all their questions. They were like, "We're not recruiting. We're not trying to get you in the military. It's just about like making you a better kid or leader."
Well, that's that nonchalant tactic right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a long term for
Dude, so
them.
you went to East Lee and almost got sent to Bragg.
Yeah.
You could like kill somebody in East Lee and they wouldn't send you to Bragg.
Nah, nah. I mean, they probably just threatened me.
Yeah.
Like, hey, get your shit together.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This is where the bad people end up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, okay. So a little partying in the middle school hallways and
hmm
stuff. And you figured what, like JROTC could get you straight or something?
Well, I put it as an alternate class. I didn't even put it as a primary. I was like,
Okay.
I'll just put it in there. Like, I didn't think much of it.
Okay.
I wanted to be a chef. I was going to take a cooking class,
Okay.
and I didn't get into that. They did warn us. They were like, "Hey, the cooking classes are strict."
Yeah, they're
Like they're probably
small
not going to
too.
get in like your freshman year.
Yeah.
So maybe subconsciously I was like, okay, well, maybe junior RTC would be the next best thing. And then sure enough, ninth grade happens. And I had like long hair at the time, like some Justin Bieber hair.
Really?
Yeah,
I
like
haven't seen you
like
like
old
that
school
before.
Justin Bieber.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, his hair. Um, so I'm in that classroom, and then this guy, Sergeant O'Kelly, and then later Colonel Morgan, two super influential dudes. Um, when I was younger, they were, they just, they really got me into the program, the way they taught, the way they were, the way they carried themselves, their stories. I mean, they were funny, they were charismatic. They're great people, great teachers, great mentors, someone to look up to. I didn't have many people to look up to growing up. That was
Really?
like my first time looking up to people, I think.
You didn't look up to your parents or like a uncle or anything?
In some ways, in the way that they lived their life kind of free, I looked up to that. But in the way that they were so like undisciplined and unmotivated, I did not.
Okay.
And junior junior RTC started to become more serious. I was like, you get like a week or two to get out of the class if you want to. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to. So I had to chop my hair off, you know, and for the next 4 years, I would slowly climb the ranks, became like the battalion commander, which is like the lead guy, and then the Raider team commander, which is the lead guy in the Raider team.
Okay.
So it taught me a lot. And I wouldn't say that it fixed my like undisciplined or troublemaker-esque thing, but it gave me a lot of structure. Um, but in terms of like the type of student I was still a bad student. Like
Really?
I basically got like grades that would pass me.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting a lot of A's or B's, I was getting C's and D's. Um, Teachers hated me for it because they knew I could do better. And then by the time high school was ending, the senior year, um, my parents didn't have a lot of money. They never had a lot of money. No one in my family, to be honest. Like we come from nothing really. Um, Really lower class. Um, and so they weren't going to pay for my college, and I wasn't going to take student loans. I thought that was dumb, and I knew that I was immature. So for me, that left one option, which was just to join the military, specifically the army. The army made the most sense because my friends were going in the army. My program was army based. So
Isn't there something like with ROTC? You can like enter in like a higher rank or something.
yeah, so I got in as a E2 private instead of an E1 private.
Okay.
So that is a slight benefit, I guess.
Does that like what does that mean for you? Like,
You're still like bottom of the barrel, but you get
sure.
paid a little bit more
Okay.
right off the bat.
Okay.
It's pretty much the only difference.
Hey, not bad, dude.
Yeah,
A little more ching in your
especially because
pocket.
you're not doing anything in there in that time. Like basic training, all you're doing is collecting money. So if you can collect money faster, then like do that. So like if you have a college degree, and you don't go in as an officer, you go in as enlisted, you can be a specialist starting off, which is a significant pay increase from a private. So
Dang.
for anyone who wants to do that, that's the way to go.
And that's just like any college.
I I
Like
think it's a
if you
4 year
get a
degree.
degree.
I think just any
But I
4 year
mean like
degree.
okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dang. Okay. I got you. So you're going through high school, you're still not applying yourself
No,
to the book,
to the
but
books.
you feel like you've kind of found something in ROTC in the army? Like I don't know, were you looking towards the future more when you were in middle school? And I don't
No,
think anybody is really,
no,
you know.
it's
The
definitely not.
future's like the next week.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was looking
So
forward to high school, I
yeah,
guess. High
but
school is
like
cool.
high school comes, and then
hmm
your senior year, you're like, okay, I have a future in the army.
Well, I wanted to try it out, you know.
Okay,
I had some long-term commitments in terms of I wanted what they call an option 40 contract, which is airborne plus ranger, and ranger is one of the elite units in the army. along with like special forces, people like that. And ranger, becoming a ranger is is a unique one because you can actually do it at kind of like any age and also like from a starting contract. Whereas special forces, I don't remember the age requirement. It might be like 24 or 5 or something. You have to be a certain age before you can even get that contract or try.
Okay.
So option 40 was what I wanted. I had to get a certain score in the ASVAB. Here's what the books kill me. I mean, I barely studied. I got like I don't remember the score. It was like a 68 or something. I didn't max score is a 99. Um, but 68 is really good. Like I could have got a number of jobs. But the score, there's a bunch of individual scores within that, and the one that mattered was the GT score, general technical something. I don't know. It was like the math and reading score. I got 102, and I needed 105 to qualify for that contract. And then my recruiter was like, "Oh, well, you can get like a waiver and basic training, and they'll square you away." And he wasn't like totally lying, but he was lying. What I should have done is waited to go. Like I didn't sign anything yet at that point. I should have waited, retook the ASVAB, got the right contract, and then went in. But I did not. And so I enter basic training and I work my butt off. I mean, I'm squared away. I'm locked in. I get the highest PT score every time. So the PT score is like 0 to 300. Um, I don't know what passing is, but 300 is the maximum score. Back then it was push-ups, sit-ups, and a 2 mile run. I think like it's like for age group like 72 push-ups is max, like something like 82 or 78 sit-ups is max, and I believe it's 13 minutes 2 mile is max. So I would max all those out every time at the highest score in the PT in the whole company. Um,
How many guys is that?
there's 4 platoons. Each one has like 30-ish guys maybe.
Okay. Do you think it's like that environment? Did you find it like really competitive, or is it
No, I mean some
what
people
is it
took it
like?
more seriously than others. Um, some people got kicked out. Some people with dumb stuff got in trouble. Um, it's a whole. The army is like they say like America's like a melting pot. Well, the army's like the big melting pot. Like every like people from all over, ethnic groups, personalities, economic status, like all that stuff is totally random. It's like throwing a bunch of dice and like you never know who you're going to be with,
Yeah.
which in a lot of ways is really cool. Like it made me grow up a lot quickly. Um, some ways good, some ways bad.
Okay.
But long story short, on basic training, these ranger recruiters finally came by, and I'm telling them like, look, I did everything I could. Like, I don't have the GT score, but I've been maxing out the PT test. And he was like, well, there's nothing I can do for you. And I was like, what? And what's crazy is they had other people in the company who didn't have the option 40 contract. They just had airborne, and they were offering it to them because they had the GT score. So these
So
other
that's like the big factor in it.
yeah, so like I mean, some of these guys were good, some of these guys were mid. But they weren't me. I know
Yeah.
that. Like they weren't trying their best. So that was the first time the army taught me a lesson. And then I got sent to Fort Drum, New York, where I spent the next 3 years training, freezing my butt off. Guess we'll wait.
Yeah, we can pause. We're good too. Nah, dude, you were fine. We had to we can get interrupted in this room. It's a public space, so we're fighting it. But back to the story. You go up to New York.
That's right. So after basic training, when I graduated, I got stationed at Fort Drum, New York, and I mean, some of the soldiers had this saying, but I'm sure a lot of soldiers feel like this in other bases. But they said Fort Drum is where your dreams go to die.
Nice.
So it's a great place to get started. So I was in Second Brigade, 14th Infantry Battalion, 214 Golden Dragons. 10th Mountain Division. So, 2nd Brigade of 10th Mountain was the leading leading brigade in the entire army for suicide rates. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost a couple while I was in. I didn't know them, but
Like it was ongoing when you went in there, or y'all kind of
yeah.
took the lead once you joined?
No, I think it was ongoing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's not good.
a lot of it has to do with the weather and just the placement of Fort Drum, like cold, the lack of sunlight, the long winters, um, and just the army monotony. There's just a lot of bullshit we deal with, and that especially gets like exaggerated in the infantry, where you're like the slave of the army. Like you're every other job's like task force. They make you they make you do all kinds of stuff that isn't your job. I mean, we're janitors, we're supply people, we're communications people, we're ammo detail, cleaning up ammo, counting ammo, moving whatever you need anywhere.
Just all the monotonous stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So if we're not training or working on our equipment, that's what we're doing. There's not a lot of early getting off. It's like a 6 to 5 job. I mean, you wake up at like 6 because you got to show up to PT by 6:30. I think is the standard. Um, or there's like a morning formation, and then you do PT, and then you get out maybe 7:30 or 8, and then you got to show up by 9 for work, and then it's a 9 to 5. Um, Sometimes you get off early, depending on your platoon, your company, all that stuff, your job. But I spent most of my time at Delta Company, which is a heavy weapons company. So we shot a lot of really cool guns, the 240 Bravo, 50 cal, Mark 19, on these trucks, Humvees, and on deployment Max Pros. Um, all that stuff sounds awesome, and like it's cool and all, but that when your day to day sucks so much, like you just don't want to put up with it. Especially because I was so young. Like I just didn't know anything, and like I was just like, man, this sucks. I want to get out of here
Yeah.
so bad. I hate this. Like, um, it's funny because where I am now in life and maturity, if I were to go into the military now instead of back then, um, I would be so different. I would be so much better. Like I would destroy the military. Like it would be over.
Yeah.
Like my mindset, everything. Like I would probably enjoy it in some ways. I would still hate a lot of it, but that part of my life is done.
Why don't you want to go back?
Well, it's just like it's just not worth taking away your freedom. Like you sacrifice so much and you get a lot out of it, but what's your freedom worth? Is like a question. So I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but that was something I joked around about one of my first sergeants with when I was getting out. Because when you're getting out, you have to return all your equipment, and I was missing some plates. So these ceramic plates go into your body armor, which protects you from bullets. And I was missing some training plates, which I had thought, now my memory could be wrong, that I gave it to supply people as a part of a collection. Um, and we looked forever for the paperwork, we couldn't find it. So eventually, like I just had to bite the bullet and pay for those plates. And they're like, I don't remember exactly, but they're like $1,400.
Oh,
So my first sergeant was like, "Hey, well maybe you can wait like a week or two to get out, like delay your trip if you want to." And then I was like, "So basically, you're saying what is my freedom worth?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying." I was like, "Well, it's worth $1,400, and I'm out." So
really?
that's how done I was.
Dang.
But
Were you leaving on like just in your mind like bad terms where you're like, this is I'm glad I did this. It's been
Yeah.
tough, but I'm definitely not coming back.
Yeah, it was like good and bad. I mean, I've grown more fond of the memories over the years, but the bad things are still there, you
Yeah,
know? And we skipped deployment and a couple notable trainings, but
we're going back. Don't
yeah,
worry.
yeah.
So you were you got deployed, I guess.
Yeah, I did get deployed one time. Um, so we do this training thing to qualify for deployment called JRTC. It sounds like JORTC, like the high school thing,
Hmm.
but it's called JRTC for some.
Okay.
They have no relation to each other. That's just weird. Um, so I did that in Fort Polk, Louisiana. Um, very hot. It was in the summer. At the time, I was in the scout platoon. It's a platoon you try out for. There's one in every battalion of infantry. Um, and we had this movement where it was like 20 clicks, which is 20 kilometers, and we're carrying like rucksacks full of stuff. I estimate like on average 50 to 70 pounds. Um, our flicks or body armor, I can't quite remember. It's probably just flicks, which is just like a cool looking vest with some waters, attachments, and ammo and stuff. Um, and then you have your rifle, and I was also carrying an AT-4, which is basically like a rocket launcher. So I had quite a bit on me, and I was, I think I might have turned 19 at this point, maybe. No, I think I was still 18. I was turning 19 in a couple months,
Okay.
and so I was just a kid, dude.
Where were you at again?
Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was super hot, super humid. We're doing this 20 click movement, and people were dropping like flies. Like people that were like higher than me on the totem pole in terms of leadership and rank
Hmm.
were dropping to heat casualties. This is just how hard the movement was.
Yeah. The humidity's
Yeah.
crazy in Louisiana.
And so like I see people above me dropping, and then I'm like, well dang, dude, like you expect me to do this? Like if you
Yeah.
can't do it, like I'm just some 18-year-old from North Carolina. And well, eventually like, I had wrote a journal entry about it. But what kept me going was when each person dropped, you had to carry their equipment. So like their weapon, some of their stuff, like that weight gets added to your squad or the movement basically. So if I dropped, I didn't want my weight to be carried by others.
Mm.
So that's what kept me going.
Dude, that's nice. I like that.
So
Okay.
even though a lot of people dropped, I can't remember how many, around three or four for sure. There was this one point near the middle, maybe three quarters in. This was a multiple day thing. We um, we got to this point where we're not getting a lot of radio communication, which is really important. Um, and we just get like stuck in an area kind of, and people are running out of water, and you know how hot it is, and people were dropping already. So we end up having to stop somewhere in this like you could imagine like a circle in the middle of the woods. We're surrounded. I mean, it kind of looks like a jungle or something, like Vietnam or something.
Hmm.
And we're just like flopping on our rucksacks and just chilling and waiting because we don't have much water left. We're on conservation mode. The leadership is trying to figure out what to do. Um, our leaders would come around and give out some of their water because we just didn't have much water to spare. So that's how they do it. The leaders give up their water first and it goes down like that. Um, eventually we move a little bit further ahead. We get some communication with people. Ironically, it was the platoon that we had left, Delta Company, first platoon that I had left, was the platoon we got in contact with, and it's also the platoon I ended up joining for the deployment as well. So they know this story too. So our leaders go grab some rucksacks of empty canteens and stuff, and go out. I don't know how far. It's probably pretty far. to those trucks, fill up all the water, come back, and then we're good to go.
Okay.
But it was a scary time because like I genuinely thought I was gonna run out of water. Like we were like I could have died. Like
Really? You
yeah,
think so?
because
How like how
if you have a heat casualty and you can't get any water, you can't cool them down. Like they can die. Their brain can
yeah.
fry. So
Dang. Yeah, and like on top of that, you're just overworking your body like crazy,
yeah,
just carrying all that weight.
yeah. I mean my muscles and my body still aches with all
I
the
bet, dude.
crazy stuff I've done. No amount of stretching will ever fix it. But
So that's kind of like was that your first like experience of you can get into some crazy shit in the army?
yeah, it was one of the crazier ones. There was one before that when I was even younger, like a year before when I was a real fresh private. Um, and we were a heavy weapons company. I was still in the heavy weapons company at the time, and we were moving. We were doing a support by fire, which basically means like the main group is trying to clear these buildings, and then we got the guys with the big guns on a hill nearby supporting, like kind of like clearing the area before they go in. You know,
Mhm.
like the heavy artillery kind of stuff. And we were a dismount element next to that, so we had some dismounted machine guns. But there were two Humvees with 50 cals on them. This was a live fire exercise, so real bullets. We do it dry, blank, live. So this was the live iteration, and the trucks alternate. They go up, they shoot, go down, while the other one's going up, shoot, goes down. On one of these alternations, the 50 cal apparently, you know, who knows what really happened, but the the, the bolt slid forward and the it shot like it fired some rounds uncontrolled. Apparently, one whizzed past one of my platoon members. He says he remembers hearing it going past him, and then a couple bullets land on the ground near us, and then one bullet hits the Humvee in front of them into I think it was through the door, right through this staff sergeant's calf.
No.
Yeah, and all I remember is screaming, and then I look over. It was on my left, and I just see like him like trying to like open the window, get like open the door, and then after that I just see red.
Oh yeah, dude.
Just
50
see
cal to the calf.
I just see red, and then my medic goes over and saves his life. Um, he's a really good guy, but this definitely raised his ego
Yeah.
because you know when a medic gets to do his job, he'll never let you forget about it. Um, so they saved his leg. I think he lost his calf. I can't quite remember the story, but um, you know he got a lot of money for it. He's
Oh,
100% disabled and all that. Um, one thing the army does do well is take care of people who get hurt or killed. Um, so if anything positive were to come out of that, that is it. Um, but it was like a real deal. Like, and this happened like in my first year being in the army. And then
yeah.
that other story about the running out of water, that was the next year. And then right after the running out of water thing, is when we deployed, and we got moved back to that same platoon where all that other stuff happened.
And so what year is it now that you're getting deployed?
So we're now in 2018.
Okay.
So I joined in 2017. So we're in late 2018, around September. So we're preparing for the deployment before that, and then it's September. We fly over to, I think it was Ireland, and then from Ireland we go to Kuwait. Kuwait's a country near Afghanistan where we set up and stage for the Afghanistan entry. So we were in Kuwait for a couple weeks, or maybe it was a week, something like that. And then we get put into Afghanistan. And then there's this thing we do in the army where we we're there. We're like shadowing the previous deployment people, previous, and we're like seeing how they do it. We're going out on missions with them for that 1 week, and then after that they're gone, and then it's up to us.
Whoa.
So we get 1 week of like, here's what's going on in the area. Here's what it might look like, what you're gonna do, and then you're there. And they tell us stories of like what they experienced and
Oh,
stuff.
man.
And every every company's different, every platoon's different. They have different SOPs, standard operator procedure, and different ways of doing things. But our platoon was super strict, super anal, super lame.
Hmm,
But hey, we were super safe as well.
that's good. What's do you remember any of the stories that you got told when you were over there for that first week? It's like any of them stand out?
Yeah, definitely. They were talking about this one time where so IDF happens all the time, indirect fire on the base. Sometimes it happens in their villages. They got called out on a QRF mission, which is quick reaction force. So basically something happens outside the wire. You are the first platoon to act. So you get ready quick, you get everyone woken up, and you're out. So you're like this constant state of readiness. And basically like some indirect fire happened near like a village, and people um I don't exactly remember what it was, but basically like a lady got like hit and like she was dead, like body parts, and they had to like clean her up basically.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there were survivors and stuff. It might have just been the one lady, um, but that happened to them, and it's pretty crazy, of course. And when you think like stuff like that, and you're like, it's your first week, it is
Yeah,
kind of
and that just
crazy.
happens.
Yeah, our deployment, especially compared to what they experienced, it seemed more chill. Um, I mean, there's a lot of moments that I think about. Um, there's a lot of getting woken up by indirect fire. So on the base, basically rockets or artillery get shot at the base. We have like these full automatic firing kind of weapons that like shoot the rocket out of the sky, and
Mhm.
it's really cool, but still things can land on the base. And also there's this alarm that wakes you up, and the alarm like still kind of scares me to this day. The first time it happened, we thought like we didn't know what to do. We just went back to sleep, and then the leader came in and like barged into the door and was like, "What the fuck are y'all doing? Are y'all fucking stupid? Come out here, come out here to these bunkers." And like we're like naked almost, like just like in underwear or whatever. Like we're
Yeah.
scrambling to put on clothes or whatever, and we have to go out to these bunkers for like an hour or two just to wait it out. It's like a procedure we have to do, even though there's no danger
Yeah.
anymore.
Y'all were just thinking like, oh, some idiot like burned the beans in the kitchen, the
Oh
fire
no, we didn't know
alarm's
what that
going
alarm
off or
meant.
something.
Yeah, we had no idea. It's like, oh, that's gonna be loud. Um, but then sometimes, and after that point, I mean, we got woken up by that alarm at least 10 more times over the course of deployment, maybe more. Well, most likely more. There were many times where like I'm right next to the light switch on my side of the room. It's four dudes to a room where we sleep on deployment. We each have our own corner of the room, and I'm right next to the light switch. So we hear that alarm go off, and I'm like scrambling out of bed, like I'm like
Flapping
flipping.
the
Yeah,
wall.
I'm like flipping for the light switch, and I'm like, go on, guys, like like um. So waking up to that alarm is traumatic, and some of the missions we had were sketchy, to say the least.
What is it like? What was a lot of your day to day stuff over there?
So there's like a cycle you do. I wish I could remember every detail, but basically we have the normal missions for I think maybe a couple weeks or a week. So three platoons are on normal missions, and then one platoon is on QRF, and then that cycles.
Okay.
So from week to week, or however it was. So on your normal mission weeks, you're you're basically working 24/7. You get up. Um, I don't think there's any mandatory physical training. Um, I don't remember there being that, but I trained as when I could. So we'd go to work. We'd like get ready for a mission. Depends on what kind of mission. Like they tell you the day before, like, oh, we got a 0400 mission, which means you probably got to be at work at 0200, 2 a.m., 4 a.m. If we had like a 9 a.m. mission, we'd have to get there by like 7 or something. So like there's the time you got to be there, and whatever you do, whatever you do before that time is on you. But you got to be there at that time. So that's kind of how it worked, which is cool. It was like some big boy stuff,
Yeah.
but it was a lot of it was like you didn't have much time for sure. Um, and when you were at work, you were working. I mean, there was downtime here and there, but you were basically always doing something. Whether that's like cleaning equipment, fixing trucks, doing layouts. There's a fucking shit ton of layouts. Layouts are like checking every little item you have, putting them in these neat little things so some fucking officers can come by and check off a list.
Yeah.
Fucking grinds my gears, dude, more than anything. Fucking hate officers. Like I have respect for some officers, but like officers definitely have to earn it from me.
Yeah. Do you think that's the thing with authority or just specific to officers in the army?
It's probably authority, but
Yeah.
but definitely officers.
Okay.
Like these college degree people
Hmm.
who have, I mean, roughly the same life experience as me come in and tell me what to do. Like that shit pisses me off, you
Yeah.
know? Whereas these sergeants who are like, instead of you going to getting a college degree, you're like this guy who also went in like me, but you've been doing this before. Maybe you deployed before. Maybe you have some experience. There's an instant level of respect that isn't the same for an officer.
Okay.
So an officer has to earn it, and I will admit that it's harder for them in that aspect. Like they have to deal with some stuff. Um, but like, I mean, they just get paid so much more for
Yeah.
like I don't know, man.
Well, I feel like especially if um, they don't really observe that they stepped into officer position and they just
Yeah,
kind of have like this ego or
yeah, dude.
power drive.
Some of them are like that. Some of them are cool. I've had a couple good officers. Most of them bad. So
Really?
yeah.
Dang, dude.
I mean, I have a high standard of leadership, and I think everyone should. Unfortunately, the army doesn't have a high standard of leadership. A lot of toxic leaders, toxic people. It's a toxic environment. And so the people, I won't say that I was always the best soldier. But I was the type of soldier you want to keep around. Soldiers like that get out because they can't handle the bullshit. And those are the soldiers you need to keep. Whereas the soldiers who are like the yes men or who can like just deal with the bullshit or don't care or so caught up in the culture or are just like ego driven people, whatever. They're the people that stay in. They're the people that get the rank. And so the army continues this vicious cycle.
Do you
Um,
think it would have been different um, had you gotten in the opportunity to try to be a ranger?
I do think about that. I've met some rangers, and the thing about like thinking about different timelines and stuff is like you can't like you literally can't imagine it. It just doesn't exist. Like it's cool to think about hypothetically, but um,
For sure, but like I've just heard
yeah,
they have like better leadership, better leaders there.
I think they have toxic leadership too,
Really?
for sure. Um,
I mean, sure, not everybody's perfect
like
either.
I've heard stories. There was one guy who came when I was in the Scouts who came from the Ranger Battalion. He got kicked out of the Ranger Battalion. Um, and he talks about some crazy stories of like So there's hazing in the army, of course. It's a lot less now, but um, hazing is honestly pretty funny. But
Yeah.
like when you're a private, like some 17, 18-year-old kid, like it's scary, you know? You're like, I don't know what's going on, but it's super funny. But like the hazing they do in special forces and uh, the Ranger Battalion is a lot more serious. It's a lot more like maybe we'll just shave off all your hair one night or something.
Okay.
Like just random bullshit or like you gotta drink like 16 shots and then go run a 5 mile.
Oh,
Like, just random stuff.
okay.
Um it's just yeah. But like for us,
You just like fart on your pillowcase or something.
no, no. Like my first there's a really funny classic one. Um so an E5 is a sergeant, okay? Enlisted 5 that's a sergeant. So we would make I mean, they got me with this, but I got other people with it too
Okay.
as I got to a specialist.
Okay.
So, like, our specialist would come in, serious face, like I know this guy by now. He's like, Crain, I need you to go talk to Sergeant so and so and tell him we need a prick E5 form.
A pricky
A
five.
prick E5 form. So like a prick E5. So you go up to this sergeant and you're like, you're in parade rest and you're like, Sergeant, specialist so and so said I need to get a pricky 5 form from you. And he just looks at you and he's like, fucking drop. Like he makes you do push ups or run around or something, like yells at you. Like there's a lot of that. There's one that I got that I made up myself. So Mark 19s are this grenade launcher,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have a spare barrel, but our other weapon systems have spare barrels. So 50 cal has a spare barrel we use. You change the barrels out, and 240 the same way. So I got this private. I was like, look, man. I was like, guys, where's the Mark 19 spare barrel? And they were like, they started freaking out. They
Yeah.
didn't know what was going on. I was like, go find the Mark 19 spare barrel.
Yeah. That dude's like, oh
And
my
so
God.
they're going around asking like all kinds of people about
Yeah.
it. And I'm even confusing like supply people. Supply people aren't infantry either. And they're like, oh, I don't know, like spare. And then they start to figure it out. And then like it's so funny.
Yeah.
And then me and the other specialists are just cracking up.
Dude, you would
So
do some of that at the movie theater.
yeah.
I don't know if you remember.
Do you remember any of them?
Yeah, dude.
Well, tell me
Because I
one.
started doing it to people.
Yeah, you got to pass it down.
The one of them was for the thing that held the nachos, the nacho chip.
Really?
You know, it had like the two doors that
Oh
would
yeah.
swing
Okay.
open,
Yeah.
magnetic. And so like you clean the counters with the like regular spray, and then I think you use the same one for like popcorn machine. It's made out of the same material as the doors on the nacho.
Like the cleaning
Yeah,
thing.
just cleaning stuff. And whenever there was a new person, uh, I watched you do it, and then you like, I think you did it to me, or you tried doing it to me, and I just didn't buy it. Uh, you were somebody was getting ready to clean it, and you were like, "Ooh, what are you doing? What are you doing?" They were like, "They told me to clean the nacho bag machine." You're like, "Why are you using that?" They're like, "It's the cleaner. It's the cleaner that we have." You're like, "You have to get the nacho machine cleaner or whatever it was." They're like, "Oh, okay." They come back like 15 minutes later, just so lost. They're like, "I couldn't find it. Can you help me?" And yeah,
Yeah.
you'd mess with people with that, and then I started doing that in different ones, but
Yeah.
it's a good time.
It is. It is fun. It's a bonding experience once you get used to it.
Oh yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. So, you're how long are you deployed for?
It was 9 months. Yeah.
9 months. Is
Nine
that the
months straight
normal
work.
amount?
Yeah.
Why did that sound longer to me? I figured it was like 4 or 5. I think
Nah.
9. Okay.
9.
What was that like for you? Mentally, physically, emotionally?
Physically hard. I put on some pounds because like we did so many missions. Um, sometimes we'd be out there for multiple days. We just have to eat. Like we don't really get much time to work out. And although you burn a lot of calories being a soldier, like you're consuming way more than you're burning because you're just like a lot of times we're just sitting around, like especially in the trucks, like when we're moving to a place, we just have to sit in the trucks for like a long time, sometimes like 8 or 12 hours. Um, so like it's just inevitable that you're gonna gain some weight. I can't remember exactly how much I weighed at the peak of deployment. It was maybe like, I don't know, 211 or something. Not too bad, but definitely gained some weight. And then mentally, super hard. We had some crazy moments, getting shot at. Uh, there was one time I wasn't there, but my platoon, I got attached to a different platoon for a month. My platoon does a mission, a QRF mission. They get shot at and they have to return fire. And I like hated it. It's like I wanted to be there so bad because it was my
Right.
platoon. And I think what's cool about that story is it demonstrates like uh, the everything happens for a reason thing. Or like I think about the Ranger contract too. Like if I'd gotten the Ranger contract and I deployed at a different time, a different place, who knows what would have happened?
Yeah.
Who knows what would have happened if I was there that day? Like I don't know. Maybe nothing happened, but you don't know that. So um, it's better to just appreciate your timeline and not
Oh,
not
for
look too
sure.
much on
For
what
sure.
else could have been. So the day to day was hard. I mean, we had 24 hours. We're always working. The QRF cycle, so that 1 week cycle was our rest technically. So like you're resting, but if you get spun up, we called it spun up. If you get called to go out, well, your rest is gone because you got to work.
Right.
So while we're in QRF, we're cleaning equipment, we're fixing things, we're relaxing, we're sleeping at night. We have people on guard, radio guard, to like, and if we get spun up, you have to have a runner, it's like a physical runner, runs to where the um where we sleep at, wakes people up, and everyone's have to get up as fast as they can, and we're all running back to the company, getting ready. And sometimes they do this as a drill, like they just wake you in the middle of the night
Oh.
just to be like, how fast are you going to get ready?
Hmm.
And like if you weren't on your shit, like they take away certain privileges or like it was the real deal.
Yeah.
Um, and like I said, my platoon was anal, dude. So they were on it. They wanted us to be freaking perfect all the time. So
So, did you, when you were over there, did y'all interact much with like the civilians in Afghanistan?
yeah,
What was
we
that like?
so we had an interpreter named Mosa. Um, he's we're decently close. I did like a video on Afghanistan where I interviewed him about him
Hmm.
and stuff.
Okay.
So Mosa and the platoon leader and platoon sergeant would mainly do the talking with these leaders and with these people, the villagers, while we like pull security somewhere while they go talk to them, basically. Pull security means look in a certain direction, make sure no one bad's coming, basically.
Yeah.
Um, so that was one of our mission types. Most of our missions were driving to a certain location, um, getting a nice little formation of the trucks where the gunners. So there's a gunner on top of the truck, and they're all looking in different directions, covering the angles, and then the trucks dismount. It's like a ramp that goes down. All the dismounts in the back get out, and they go walk around some area that they want to check out, and then they come back a few hours later, and we drive back to the base. So those are the two main mission types. We're doing that every day.
So, was the talking to like the villagers, civilians, was that to like gain intel or just to figure out what you could do to help them?
It was both. I mean, it was an attempt of creating relationships, um, getting intel. But one of the things that I think I've reflected on since then is there's a real disconnect between like the mission and what's actually happening, and a lot of it's goes down to just the very structure of the army and the way we're doing it. I mean, we're out of Afghanistan now, obviously, but when we were there, we did do a lot of good. We did do a lot of good. We did a lot of bad too, but um, Afghanistan was objectively better when we were there than it is now. Um, but um, we we go to this place, like let's say this village with this leader who is known to give us information about the Taliban, or supposedly known. And so the previous, like when we first get there, remember I talked about how the previous group of people introduces like the missions and all that.
Yeah.
Well, they'd also introduce the new platoon leader to the new people, and like to them, like we're just another set of white people
Hmm.
coming in these uniforms, and just another new name, another new face, and like yeah, like everyone in the army and the infantry like has the kind of the same mission broadly, but we're all going to behave differently. We're all going to be different. We're all going to have different ways of doing things. And so you're basically starting over, is how I see it. Like you're starting over a new relationship. You have no idea what they're holding back from you, what they're not. You don't know anything. And so like you're trying to build a relationship with someone for 9 months, and then you're just moving again. And
Hmm.
then it's like if a girl got like a new boyfriend every 9 months and expected it to be the same. It's just not how it works.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big flaws, I think, for sure.
What do you, I mean, what do you think about, like, are you allowed to have an opinion on the us being over in Afghanistan?
Yeah, I definitely am.
Okay. What do you think about that? Like
Yeah.
from the start of it, um, I, I know I watched the video you did,
Hmm.
um, on it, but like, what's your opinion on why we went over there?
Well, we went over there to chase a ghost, um, Bin Laden and 9/11. We wanted oil, and there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Um, I think the honest answer, it was about money and getting, because when America's at war, we're sad as it is, that's when we're the best economically.
Hmm.
It's proven over the years. It's a known fact. And they had resources we wanted. Um, we got attacked, and that's uh, plenty of reason for the government to get involved. So we went over there, and yeah, we had hearts and minds. We were over there mentioned hearts and minds. Went over the hearts and minds of the population and make them think like us, be like us. When in reality, they're their own people that are centrifugal, which means they typically gravitate away from a central government rather than people who uh, so basically they're loyal to local tribes, to states, to cities, or they're
Not just one
not one
over.
president
Okay.
of Afghanistan. And so it was like doomed to fail, really, because we just didn't understand the culture, we didn't understand them. And although we did good, we during that time, like a lot of people got a lot out of it. Um, the bad guys won at the end of the day because we left. And we left in such a bad way. Trump says that if he was in office, we would have left in a better way. I mean, there's no good way to rip that band-aid off.
Yeah.
It would have happened no matter what.
After 20 years.
So, I mean, we don't have enough time to talk about what we need to do.
Sure.
But I think the best thing you can do is just be informed about it, like try to learn about it, um, and just understand that there's some evil people out there, and not everyone has the same rights as you. So enjoy the rights that you have, in America for sure.
Oh yeah, dude.
America takes a lot for granted. That was
Hmm.
one of the big lessons I got in Afghanistan that I need to be reminded of every once in a while. Sometimes you just got to get humbled
Hmm.
because you just start feeling like things should work out for you because you're born in America and whatever. So
What do you think about us like being kind of like the police nation of the world?
I used to be all for it, especially when I was in the army. I was like, well, it's my job anyway. I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
But the as I got older, and I've got a degree in global studies. We learn a lot about it. I do not think we should be doing that. Um, I think there could be some circumstances where it's valid. Um, I think as much as I love Ukraine, like I don't think we can help them as much as we had, and that's just one example. There's a lot of other wars going on. Um, there's just like we can't keep getting involved with too much when there's so much back home that we haven't fixed.
Yeah.
Like we're spending all this money abroad, and maybe it's true that we're getting a lot back from it in terms of economics or like global clout or whatever, but there's so many things we need to reform in our country, um like homelessness and college being so expensive, and yet we're like one of the dumbest nations in the world.
Hmm.
Like what are we doing? There's this like cool video from a news. It was some news guy on like a TV show, like where he just like went off. It's pretty famous. I've seen on
Oh,
YouTube, and he was
it's
like,
Jeff Daniels.
yeah, he was like, first in freedom, like America's the best place in the world. Like he just went off.
Yeah.
And I
It's from the newsroom.
yeah, from the newsroom,
Hmm.
and I think about that clip a lot when I think about like, gosh, like we think we're so high and mighty. You don't know anything.
Yeah.
Like you don't. That's the thing I love about global studies the most. You need to like look around what's going on around the rest of the world, how they think, how they do things, to really understand what's going on in America.
Yeah.
So
I like that, man. I don't want to get. I. I mean, this was great. Don't get me wrong. I do want to get.
it was connected to the military
It
stuff.
was 100%.
Yeah,
But I did want to talk more about what we talked about in the car
yeah,
last night at your little going away party because
yeah,
you're moving to Japan.
yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Hmm.
It's going to be a big step for you, but you seem excited about it and very sure about it.
Hmm.
That's a good sign,
Yeah,
you know. And you've been there before. Um, but you mentioned the, I guess, kind of the losses that you've experienced
yeah.
pretty recently.
Hmm.
Um, you said you lost your brother when you were deployed or when you were in the army,
It was
just in
actually in
general.
basic training.
What
Yeah,
was How was that for you? Was it like was it younger, older?
so I'm the youngest, and here's one of my older brothers, Farron. He, I'd say it's alleged suicide. We don't actually know. The story doesn't add up in my head, but I guess it could be suicide. I mean, that's what the police said and whatever. Um, so I get like called about it, and then they ask me if I want to go home and do the funeral and all that. And I was almost done training, so I just ended up not going.
Oh,
I
dude.
ended up staying in training, and so I did have time to grieve some point later down the line, and then when I got out of the army and I went to Boone, North Carolina, App State for the next 4 years, going to college here. Um, a lot of lonely chapters, a lot of having trouble connecting to people because the the army, especially the infantry, does not set you up with any social skills. No understanding of how college kids act
Yeah.
or like I didn't know anything. Like I was like totally brain dead when it came to social interaction. Um, so I had trouble making friends for a couple years. Um, by 2020, kind of late 2021, I started making more friends at church, Antioch Church in Boone. Um, Unfortunately, like I made like four really good friends. Three of them moved away within a year of
Mm.
knowing them. Um, the last one stayed. So like it's really hard to find really good people that you get along with, that you connect with, that you can have a deeper conversation with. And I'd found four, three of them left. So that was really hard. But the lonely chapter is it's just it's inevitable for everyone to go through who really wants to improve and be someone, be something. Um, it's inevitable. And my lonely chapter really sucked. I had depression in the army for sure, but my depression in Boone was like worse than that of the army.
Yeah, dude, you hit the winter months up here.
Yeah,
It gets tough.
it's rough, man. And the difference between the army and that is you in the army, you always have someone. You always have someone.
Yeah.
You're forced to. It's like
Yeah,
people
even if
have
you
to
hate
check
them.
on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Somebody's here.
in Boone, North Carolina, like you go to sleep alone, you wake up, no one texts you, you got no friends. That's your life. So you got to go out, you have to cultivate that. You have to cultivate yourself, and it's up to you. And so a lot happened in between that time frame, but it was really 2024. So a few years later where the stagnation really completely took a hold. I had just gotten back from Japan for a study abroad trip, and that was a really fun culture experience. It's why I'm going back again because I loved it so much. I want to learn the language more. But when I went there, it was like I saw like I'd learned so much. I was like, this is like a different way of being. Like I don't have to be the way I was before.
Yeah.
So when I go back, who am I going to be? Who am I going to choose to be when I go back? Um, so in January was when I got back, January 2024. I started reading again. I started doing my self-help stuff, and it started with Atomic Habits and Can't Hurt Me. Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins is probably the most important book I've read. It's basically about owning your experience. So whatever happened to you in the past that sucks, that is unfair, you turn that narrative from a weakness, from an excuse, to a place of strength, to a place of like, despite this, I will be this.
Hmm.
So there's challenges throughout the book that you do. Um, and just the book itself, like hearing David Goggins' story, you're like, damn, I'm a bitch. Nah, but um, his story is way worse than mine. No matter how you crack it, um, everyone has their own story. It's a thing I like to say. Everyone has a story,
Oh yeah.
but and it's not to say his story is more important than mine or my story's harder than this guy's. Everyone deals with their own level of adversity and their level of difficulty, and it's what you do with that matters. It's not, and that's what I loved about the book the most. It can apply to anyone. It's just like become the hero of your story, and he has this thing near the end summarizes the whole point. I think um, he believes in God, and he said I don't care if you believe in God, whatever, but just listen. Um, Imagine this. Imagine you die, you go to heaven, and guy greeting you at the gate has this list of things on it. And on this list, it has all these things, all these accomplishments that you should have done while you were alive. and he's like, so who David Goggins was before, he was like this 300-pound dude, spraying cockroaches, drinking milkshakes, like had nothing going for him really.
That sounds not too bad.
So yeah,
You can find a good milkshake here and
he,
there.
he had a rough upbringing too, but basically like that's what he was doing. He was going nowhere. He was depressed, um, and the dude in the list, just the dude reading the list is like, oh, David Goggins, let's see, Navy SEAL, um, motivational leader, uh, freaking the Americanism Award, got a Ranger tab, all these different things. He just keeps going and going and going. And then the 270-pound David Goggins is like, that's not me. What are you talking about? Like, you must be you got someone else up there. Like, that's not me. I spray cockroaches. I like you look,
Dang.
you know.
Yeah.
And then so the story, the lesson, the lesson of the story is um when he the way he says it, when he gets up there, he wants he doesn't want to not be the person that he should have become. He wants to
Oh
be the
yeah.
person he should have become. And to an even more degree, he was like, well, I want to go up there. When I'm up there, I want him to be writing more stuff on because he didn't know I could do this. He didn't know I could do that. I want him to have more stuff on there than he thought.
That sounds like Goggins.
Yeah, so I love that message. And that was one of the things that got me really spinning in the right direction. And there was a lot of other books and things that I did, but
What would be on your list? What would be some things you think? Like think big right now. What do you think would be on your list?
oh, my list,
Yeah. Like things that you think
what I should do or have done.
that you should do that you're like, this is who I want to become.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Um, uh, beacon of hope, inspiration to
Okay.
others. Um, successful writer, YouTube creator, um, great family man, um, helped others, lived for others, um, lived by his principles, things like that.
I like this.
Yeah.
I hope all of those are on mine too. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I'll have to read that one this summer.
You
I
gotta
told
read
you I
it.
have it. I just hadn't I got it.
Everyone says I got it. I just haven't read it yet.
I've been reading other ones. I ain't just been not reading.
No.
Come on now. Come on
I
now.
didn't mess with you.
There's one you need to read. Uh The War of Art.
The War of Art?
The War of Art, not the Art of War.
The War of Art.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't heard of it, but
It's a good one. You should definitely look into it.
yeah.
Um Dang, where was this at? I kinda got lost in the Goggins story, dude. That was cool.
Well, so the Goggins story leads into some family tragedy. Um,
All right, we're in
we're
2024.
in
You kinda
2024.
stopped being
Started
alone or
yeah, started facing my fears, facing my insecurities.
okay.
That's another big thing in the Goggins thing. So I'm going out of my way to do things that I avoid. So at the time I was still self-conscious about the way I looked, I was still a little, I mean, I say overweight, but like I'm not really overweight, but by my standards I was overweight, I was like 195 or something. I was muscular but fat, and so I was like afraid to take my shirt off in public or like outside. Um, so like afraid to go swim, for example.
Really?
Yeah, because
That's
I
wild.
knew I
I
was
wouldn't see you that way.
because I knew I wasn't me. Like I knew I wasn't like oh I'm not like because I used there was a time where I got like super shredded before that, and so like I can't help but compare myself a little bit to that, even though it is unfair. Um, but I was like, well, dang man, like I got to get over that fear and get over my fear of talking to girls. And how I did that was in class or at the gym, if I saw a girl who I thought was pretty, or if I looked at her and I felt that fear in my
Oh
heart,
yeah.
I had to do something about it.
Mhm.
If I felt that fear, it didn't matter how it went down. I had to go over there, start a conversation. It didn't have to go anywhere. Um, book I got that. Well, it was from Can't Hurt Me, but it was also from How to Talk to Anyone About Anything. Um, just you just have to try.
Mhm.
I had big social anxiety, and I got over that for the most part. It's always a work in progress with all these things, but it's a skill you develop and cultivate. And so with each girl I was scared to talk to and talk to anyway, I would level up, and it's in all these different ways. There were other insecurities and stuff too. Um, and then I kept doing that for months. I kept started running again, started doing all this stuff, signed up for races. Um, First one was a 10K race, and then it was a half marathon, and then a marathon later that year. And in between that point, um, my father passed away to cancer um, last year in April. Um,
Sorry to hear that, dude.
yeah, it was very sad. My father and I were pretty close, not as close as we were when I was younger. And mind you, like I'd been in and out of the country and all kinds of stuff since I was 17. So my parents don't see me as much as they used to, but I still talk to them every once in a while. Still obviously love my dad. And that was a really hard loss um, to take. And there was this one time where before my dad died, he was in the hospital, and I was working as a server at the time at Jefferson's Landing, at West Jefferson, North Carolina. Um, my bank account also got hacked. I had like no money. Um, I had enough gas to get to work,
Dang, dude.
so I'm like driving to work, uh, planning to ask my boss for some cash to get home. Um, the bank account situation got worked out, and I knew it would eventually. I knew I would be like broke for a while, so I'm just super stressed out. I'm maxed out. Like
Mhm.
I'm livid. I'm hot. It had rained the day before. I drive an RX-7. It's real speedy red coupe car, and so the roads were a little slick. And on the way to work, there's this windy country road, and I'm driving down it pretty fast. Um, there's this one turn to the right where you can't even really see it. There's not much clearance. It kind of snuck up on me. I was going pretty fast, and I was driving around this corner, and the speed, like I was like, when you feel a turn and it's too much.
Oh yeah.
Well, it was a lot too much, and I was my tires slid out from under the road, like they lost traction, and so I start sliding. There's a SUV coming. It's close, a few seconds away,
Oh my god.
and my body just takes over. I go with the momentum.
Uh-huh.
I take the car, I turn it left. So with the momentum, so it's a right turn. I'm taking it, I'm going left, and then I happen to right past the car into like some grass mound that was there, and perfectly fine. But my car at that speed against an SUV would have been bad.
Yeah.
I might have died.
Yeah.
So
Especially if you're going like into it this way, you're gonna take the brunt of the hit.
yeah. So it was I was freaking out, and I had to go to work, and I couldn't go home. Like I needed money.
Yeah. You didn't have the money to get back home.
No, so I told my bosses about it.
God.
And they gave me $40, and I worked that day, and I went home, and everything ended up working out eventually. But I think it was a month or so later that my dad passed, and at that point, like I was driving to work another day, and I'm just going through so much emotion and so much. I don't know how to process it. When my dad passed, I didn't cry for a little while. I tend to handle things slower than others, and I just start like ranting in my car.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I need to record this. Like something just told me I need to record this. So I recorded on my phone, and it's about 10 minutes of me ranting, me going off. And I made it into a YouTube video.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Regardless of Your Situation. And
Is it
so
still up?
yeah, it was my first video of my new style of like, like video being the background of me talking about something going through life, going through adversity, whatever. Um, and I'm like I'm raw. Like I'm like I lost my dad. I'm lonely. Like I don't have a girlfriend. Like everything sucks.
Holy crap.
And then near the end, yeah, like near the end. So it starts out like that, and then it keeps ranting up, and I started getting mad. I'm like I'm mad. Like I don't want things to be like this. I want to change. I want everything to change. I want everything for my family. I want everything for my future. And I'm like near the end, I'm like talking to myself and I'm talking to others. I'm like when you come at people when you're like all sad and oh everything sucks.
Yeah.
And then I'm
Woe
like
is me.
oh everything sucks for everyone else. How
Yeah.
about you stand taller? How about you be a beacon of hope to others,
Yeah.
regardless of your situation? That's what I said.
Amen, brother.
And for a while that became my thing. And then I ended up
That's big. That goes back to your you didn't want to fall out so everybody else had to carry your shit.
yeah, exactly. I've always kind of thought that way, I guess, for sure. That was a good tie back. Um,
So you just took the raw video, the raw footage from that, or did you redo it to
well,
upload it?
so the audio was pretty bad,
Sure.
so I cleaned it up as much as I could, and I added like a lo-fi-esque sound to it.
But it is that original.
Yeah,
Oh, dude, that's sick.
yeah.
Dang, I love a good rant, dude.
Some
Oh man.
sometimes I go back and listen to it if I'm having like a real
Yeah.
rough time or um, and that's what I like about my videos too, is they're like each one is like its own like feeling. Like, oh, you're going through this? Watch this video.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's what I try to do. So I keep training. I do these races. The marathon happens. I do really good on the marathon. Um, and then let's see. I'm trying to think of where I was going. It was the first time I lost my train of thought the whole
You're
time.
good, man. You were going into the hard battle of losing your dad after being like super stressed out about things up here.
Hmm.
But you had kind of rebounded and realized like the way to move yourself from the situation you don't like, you have to confront it. You can't let it
Yeah.
just overshadow overshadow you all the time. I don't know where your destination was with the
Okay.
story, but that's where you were heading into.
Okay. So the marathon was one of those culmination points, and then after that, I had graduated college in December, last December. And then there was this down period where I didn't know what I wanted to do. I kind of knew. Like I was like, yeah, I've been saying I'm going to Japan, been
Yeah.
saying I'm going to be an English teacher, but the best way to do that is the JET program, and I assumed I would get in. I was like, I'm a shoe in. I got it. Like I don't need to prepare for anything else. So February comes around, so I'm waiting like a month or so for to hear back from them. February comes around and they're like, "Oh, you didn't get it."
And this is the what program?
The JET program.
Which
It's like
is
it's the most popular teach English in Japan program there
okay.
is. Yeah. So I didn't get into that, and I thought that was crazy. I was like, "What the heck's going on?" And then I applied to other jobs, other English teaching jobs, other anything I could get. and I went to interviews online, and like I got rejected like 3 or 4 more times. And then I found this one company called GABA, and they teach a lot differently than the other ones do as well. So most of them are like you're at the behest of them, like, hey, I'm going to be an English teacher for you, and they're like, okay, cool, we're going to put you in 1 to like 8 different cities. You don't know where, you don't know what school you're going to work for, you don't know how long, how many students you're teaching, what age students. You learn all this stuff like the week you get there, kind of thing.
Really?
But the thing about GABA is it's one-on-one teaching with adults, and it's by lesson. It's you like basically set a schedule. You're saying I'm available at these times, and then people book you, and you're working. So it's a
Nice.
lot more straightforward. It's a lot more like um, a lot better for me. I love the flexibility. I love the freedom. That's why I left the army. I want my life. So I ended up finding a really good match for me. They ended up putting me in Kobe. That's where I'm going to be out in Kobe, Japan. And it took a while to get there, but that is like the next step. So I look at my life as in chapters,
Hmm.
and my next chapter is Japan. No matter how it goes, like that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
And my ultimate goal is not only starting a family, that's obviously very important to me, is to, like I said, be a beacon of hope, to be an inspiration to others. And how I do that is through writing, through storytelling. So that's my chosen craft I found. So whether through my stories or through sharing what I've learned through books, I want to create stories through writing as well as videos. So I want to write books. I want to make more videos. I want to inspire people. I want to hopefully make money from YouTube and writing
Hmm.
and turn that into a career, which I can take anywhere and be a traveler that I want to be,
Absolutely.
and eventually give back in ways that I couldn't do before because I didn't have enough money. You know,
Yeah.
take care of my family, take care of my friends who stood by me, take care of people who can't take care of themselves. So that can be in America, like homeless people, or or just people in other countries who just don't have like the opportunity that we have in America. Um, that is my ultimate goal for sure.
That's beautiful, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think having something where your creative engine gets going and being like, I mean, you have the plan to help people with it.
Mhm.
It's not just like I want to get good at this so I can just have all the money, all the power, fame, whatever it is to myself. Um, I think a lot of people go into things like that with that mentality, and it's just kind of ugly, you know, just the
Yeah,
selfishness behind it. But I think you can do it, dude.
yeah, and I would certainly say even recently, there were times where I felt like I was doing it for fame, or that I was like, man, I really want to be famous. I really want to be well known. And then I've slowly grown out of that.
Hmm.
Um, and it's through this like the biggest change, not only from the books that has led to this, is like kind of adopting some Buddhist practices from this app called Waking Up. From Sam Harris created it. He's like a I don't know what to call him. I mean,
Yeah.
he's like a really good free thinker kind of guy. Alan Watts is pretty famous. You might have known
Yep.
that name. He's like a new generation Alan Watts, and he is he just opens your mind in a way through the meditations and through the lessons. Like I made a video about the last time. You
Hmm.
remember that one? So there's like a bunch of little things like that where you're essentially thinking about you're being so much more mindful in every moment, every action you take, every decision you make that was lacking in my life for so long. Like I had no clue Like I was just doing things to do them.
Mm-hmm.
And now everything is deliberate. Every choice, there's reflection. I'm off technology more. I'm not searching for something. Like it's already there. You just have to be mindful of it. And I mean, this is certainly its own conversation, but that has been one of the biggest things that has changed me. And it's just incredible.
Yeah. I think it's hard to put into words because once you do realize, and I ain't saying I got everything figured out or even any of it figured out, but I'm in a place now where I finally know peace and my mind doesn't feel scrambled all the time and I'm able to be present when I'm somewhere, when I'm sitting here talking to you and I'm not thinking about the next thing I'm going to say. It's like, oh, what if he says this? And then, well, how do I respond? How should I sound when I respond? And what should I look like when I respond? You know,
Yeah,
that's how my brain worked.
yeah,
And I couldn't figure out why. And it's because I wasn't sitting here and just listening, hanging out. And
yeah.
once you realize it's like, it's all in your head, your, your emotions, some, but, most everything is just your outlook on it. Like what you want to see, you're going to see.
Hmm.
What you believe uh, is the reason why somebody did something will become the reason that they did it in your mind. That's all that matters, you know.
Yeah,
Um, but being able to change your perspective and then reflecting on the results that that gave you, like
yeah,
when you were like, well, man, like, dude, why am I like so nervous to talk to people? Like, but then you go, okay, well, I went to the army. They didn't prepare me for any of this. I went after high school, and I'm in a world now, and it's not high school. There's people are acting a lot different out here.
yeah,
So what do I do? And so you reflect, and then you put action on that reflection,
yeah.
and then you put that action was, you know, uh, digesting content of books and videos, I'm sure, and podcast
Mhm.
interviews, and just talking to different people about it. But then once you do that, you get to see, okay, so some stuff is changing. But all it took was you just going, what is it that I'm missing? What is
Yeah,
it that I don't like? What is it that I do like? What should I hang on to? What should I disregard? And it's just, it's man, like it's all in your head. It's so cool.
yeah, yeah. I love that. The biggest crime you can do is just go through life aimlessly.
Yeah.
Like you just go into one thing, the next thing. You're just automatic. You're TikTok brained. You're vaping all the time. Like there's just so much more to life out there,
Hmm.
and you never forget the biological aspect. Like we were like hunters and gatherers.
Oh yeah. Touching grass every day.
Yeah, we're meant to be outside. We're meant to be in nature. We're meant to be in the world. We're not meant to be inside all the time,
Right.
looking at a screen. And I love video games just as much as the next guy,
Oh yeah.
but there's a time and place, and especially for men, there's a time where the boy needs to die.
Mm.
The boy has to die at some point, and there's habits you got to break, like for example, porn and masturbation. You got to kill it at some point. It is your old self clinging to the old, to the thing that you you think you need.
Yeah.
That new man can't be born as long as you cling to that.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
That is. That
Yeah.
is, dude. That's big. That's big. There's I did an episode and had a conversation with a guy named Bernie Carbo, and he's 77, 76.
I love talking to old people like that.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, he's at that point where you know, he don't care.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say what I want to say, and
Mhm.
if you want to listen, you listen. If you don't, you don't. But the way he looks at it's the same concept. Um, but his is don't let well, the Kenny, who is it? Toby Keith, don't let the old man in.
Mm.
But he looks at it as I mean, dude, he was a nut back in the day. From 40 and below, he was just drug addict, sex addict, cheater, liar, all, the worst things you can be. And even now, he's been sober for I don't know how many decades it's been now. But anytime something creeps up from his past, and he can feel that, you were talking about like that pull,
Yeah.
that old self going, "Come on, dude, you used to love this.
Yeah.
We had such a good time. Come on."
Yeah.
He's like, I put a bullet in that man's head every time he comes back.
Yeah.
I'd shoot him every time. He has to die. He has to die.
Yeah.
I love that dude. That's good stuff.
Yeah. Sounds like a good conversation too.
That was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of it was he got kind of amped up during that scene.
I'm sure you had to turn him
Like
down, huh?
I tried. I don't think I could though. But the real good conversations we had at a little breakfast spot in town. The day before and then the day after. We just met up and it was really cool. That was when he was I don't know, he was a little more mellow and we could have more of a back and forth. But that's when he brought that up. It was very insightful.
Yeah.
Stuff you gotta hear. That's something I'd struggled with for a long time was like and still, in other aspects still do struggle with it
Yeah.
of, the boy's gotta die.
Yeah.
But he does.
There's this I told you about this dream yesterday, I think. I had this dream.
Yeah.
So this was a few months ago. I had a dream about a girl, most beautiful girl in the world, exactly what I want. She's standing across from me in a room, and I don't know if some people don't put stock into their dreams, but it's, I think, I don't know if it's scientifically proven or whatever, but I certainly believe it that dreams are a leak of your subconscious, of your unfinished or what you're not, you know, things like that.
It's gotta be, right?
So this girl and I lock eyes and we don't say anything, but we stare at each other for a few seconds. And in that moment, she says with her eyes, I mean, I hear it in the dream, like, you aren't ready. Like, you, it's not that I wasn't scared to talk to her because I had gotten to the point where I wasn't scared to talk to girls anymore, you know? But what had happened was I wasn't ready to be the man I needed to be to get someone like her. And more importantly, I wasn't enough of a man to be the, the type of person who would go up to her, talk to her, not care what happens, whether I get rejected or anything, be exactly who I am, secure in that,
Mm.
and let that be enough. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if I get rejected because I am enough already. I don't need you. I would love to have you.
Yeah.
That was that was said in that moment. And I woke up and I was like, man, what the fuck? I was freaking out. Like, I start writing. I'm like something's got to go. Like,
Yeah.
I'm changing, but shit. Like I said, like next time I will be ready. Next time I will be ready. If this happens again, if I see someone who I really care about, who I really want, I want to be ready for that woman. And so that was like my last call, my literally wake up call of get it together, man.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I was doing great, especially by most people's standards, but it was that boy that was still clinging to old things, for example, you know? I was still drinking here and there. I was smoking weed, um, masturbating, porn especially. So I needed to get rid of all that. And I did one by one, one by one. I got rid of these addictions. Video games was one as well. And the boy slowly died.
Mm.
And I'm now at that point where I'm in that state of readiness. I think life is like that. Like people are like, "Oh, you gotta you gotta search for a girl, you gotta search for a woman." And then, but I've done it all. And what works is you're not searching.
Hmm.
You're just ready. You're in a
Yeah.
state of readiness. There's a stoic quote Mason told me, and hopefully I can quote it off my head. Something like readiness is where preparation meets opportunity, or something like that.
Yeah. It's like, and I guess the more Americanized version would just be like, if you're always ready, you don't have to get ready.
Yeah. And there's another one from is it Lemony Snicket who wrote the series of unfortunate events?
Beats me, dude.
Wow. I used to love those books when I was a kid, but they have this quote in the last book that says, "If we wait until we're ready, we'll be waiting for the rest of our lives."
Hmm.
So stop waiting till tomorrow. Stop waiting to change this, to quit that. There's ways to do it. I'm not saying just like freaking stop everything, do it all at once. Like it's a slow process over time. And I'm still changing too, but you have to like start. You have to start. And one step at a time, one day at a time. And consistency is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You got to be consistent.
Yeah.
And so eventually you will change. People around you will change. Some people, like your old friends, like in the same way the boy dies, some of those old friends have to die. Those people that pull you in, that enable you to do bad things, you can't stick around with them anymore. They're going to be like, "Oh, you're too good for us now,"
Hmm.
or "Oh, you can't do this anymore." Those aren't your friends then.
Yeah.
If they can't see you grow, if they can't
Yeah.
accept that, those aren't your friends. So you're going to experience that lonely chapter, and then eventually you'll find those new friends. But it's going to take time.
Yep. Just gotta hang in there.
Yeah.
Dude, this was great.
Yeah.
I really hope the phone hasn't stopped recording.
Yeah, that would suck, huh? I
It
guess we'll
would.
see.
But if not, then we can just do like a portion of it just audio, which would
Okay.
be cool,
Yeah.
you know?
We can add some video to it.
Yeah, dude. This was awesome. Thanks for doing I wish we could do another 4 hours.
I don't even know how long we were talking.
Well, it's kind of different now because we had that little 10-minute section in there, but
Oh, yeah.
probably about an hour and a half.
Okay. That's about right then.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, look, dude, I'm wishing you the best in Japan.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. I think it's going to be great. You're going to get to see a lot of cool stuff, do a lot of cool stuff, meet a lot of cool people. Keep your head on, and yeah, keep crossing things off that list that Goggins is talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for inviting me, man. It was fun.
Absolutely. Tell the people where they can find you.
Zach4343 on YouTube. It's the
There
best
you go.
place.
Yeah, dude, I want to go back and watch that rant video now.
Yeah, I'll send
Do
it to
that.
you, regardless of your situation.
All right, yeah. Thank you all for listening. It's been another episode of Finish the Race. We will see you next time.